Well, there has been a lot of discussion lately about the 7mm PRC cartridge being an underperformer. Many saying that it shoots as much as 200 feet per second slower than advertised. So I have a Springfield waypoint here in 7PRC with which we are going to shoot some ammunition. And the cool thing is I have some originals, I guess you'd call this, from even before it was officially announced. We were doing some research down at the FTW ranch, shooting a whole bunch of this, and the velocities were, if I remember right, the rifle I was using was pushing 2,978 feet per second or something like that, awfully close to the advertised 3,000 feet per second. And this is some of that ammunition. Whether or not it's different from the new stuff I just picked up, I don't know, but we're going to shoot and record the velocities on the old stuff and then the new stuff to see if there is a significant difference. The idea is that they've been unable to get the original powder they were working with to get the velocities that they'd planned for. So we're going to get everything set up and we'll film the actual shots on target and record the velocities here with our Pro Crony. Let's get to it. All right, we have everything set up. Let's hope this chronograph is working. Been giving me issues lately. All right, this is the old prototype ammunition from a couple of years ago. Ooh, sweet. I could tweak that a little bit. There we go. Parallax looks good. First shot from this waypoint. All right, everything's ready to launch. (3,044 feet per second. Woohoo! We don't know if I hit the target or not. I just got this with the scope already on it, so I assumed it was zeroed. But right now I'm not seeing a hole on the target that I can positively identify. So we may be shooting high and over. I think I'm gonna go check, guys. Be back at you. Turn that off. Yeah, we're good, guys. It's in the red. I just can't see the holes. One of the reasons I don't like red targets. You often don't see your holes. Not enough contrast there. But hey, we'll take it. So we're an inch low, an inch to the left. (3,044 feet per second on the first shot. 3,009. That's there, about an inch out. (3,016). I like the way this rides on the bag. Well designed. Here are our chronograph readings. Here's your high, 3,044. Low, 3,009. If I remember, 3,009. Average, 3,023. We'll just take an extreme spread here. 35 feet per second extreme spread. That group out there looks like it's about an inch, but we'll measure it before we write that down. We'll delete that string and do another one with the new ammo. All right. Let's try the new ammunition here. As I say, I don't know if this has the new powder in it, if it's still some of the old that was on the shelf long enough. I looked at the lot numbers and everything. It's just got a number 80711, same as the old box, and then there's a lot number on it. That's 3221854, which is the same as the 2-year-old box. So I don't really know. Don't know if I've got a different lot with a different powder or not. Might have to call Hornady to check it out. Okay, upper left target this time. 2,956. So about 60 feet per second slower. $29.49. Nice little group there at about an inch again. Oh, that was a bad read. It says 4,115. So the chronograph probably got a little muzzle blast over it to set it off, going faster than it really was. But I think we got our readings. Let's go take them down. Yeah, you can see that crazy last one, 4,115. I don't think so. High, 4,115. Low, 29.49. And the average is not going to matter here. Let's go back to that first shot. There it is, 29.56. That was my first shot. So it is going a little bit slower. All right, here's their precision hunter load, 175 grain ELDX. New box I picked up. Let's just see what sort of velocity and grouping we can get out of that one. I'll just single load them. It's faster than getting that magazine out. Go for the upper right target on this one. Boy, I do like the way this rifle rides the bags. (3,003 feet per second). It's right there in the bullseye. I can just sort of see it on that red. 2,996 on that one. It's like another 1 inch group or so. 29.69. So, you know, might say that's a little bit under powered considering 175 grain bullet. Now let's try this outfitter load. What are they loading here? 160 grain. This is their all copper bullet. It's be interesting to see if it really opens up the group, because copper generally doesn't shoot as well when you shoot it over the gilding metal. Before I do that though, I need to go down there and take my numbers down so I don't forget them. All right, here's that 175 grain. And the low is 29.69. Average 29.89. Extreme spread of 34. And we'll measure that group later. All right. The all copper bullet, the new CX. We will go for the lower left circle of red. $3,023. $3,037. $3,051. Now we've got to go see what sort of groups we got. But I think we've got pretty much the advertised velocities out of those. I don't see any huge issues there. Let's just run these numbers. The high is 3,051. The low is 3,023. And the average is 3,037. Extreme spread is 28 feet per second. Pretty nice. Well, we'll go out there and measure those groups, see how well we're shooting. Let's shoot some afternoon groups. The lights changed. Rifle's cooled down. It's like a new day. And I think we have an untouched target on the lower right corner. This thing is shooting, looks like consistently left a bit. I'm going to give it a tweak. All right, let's see what that red circle thinks of this shot. Boy, that is a nice, steady rifle. 29.17. Now, that is my slowest velocity so far with these loads, and this is the 180 grain ELD match bullet. This morning, it was shooting 2,956 was the fastest. I like the way this takes single shot loads. Push feed actions generally do that, but some of them not so well. This one just consistently drops right in there. 2936. It's really easy to stabilize this. It's got the palm swell here on the right side. Pistol grip is far enough away that it'll get bashed by the back of the trigger bow. I'm liking this. Nice crisp trigger. Can't see the holes in the paper, which suggests they're all in the red. They're hard to see when they're in the red. Red is not a good color for a target. Now, 2917 again. I'm going to take down this velocities on these. All right, those average 2,923 feet per second. So that's about 70 feet per second slower than advertised. But we have to remember, every rifle is a little bit different depending on the dimensions of the chamber as well as the barrel. A little tighter, a little looser, that changes what your velocities are. This is a 24-inch barrel, and this is measured from a 24-inch test barrel, so the velocity should be pretty close. But now I want to try a hunting load. That was a match load, and I am not likely to go elk hunting with match ammunition. So 175 grain, what would this be? The ELDX, I would guess. Yes, 175 grain ELDX. This is what I would probably go hunting with in this factory load. And since this is shooting so consistently, I think I can afford to shoot at the left edge of the main circle target. Looks like I'm about a half inch to the right on that one. 2,969 feet per second. Felt good. I like the way this trigger breaks. Not seeing that hole. I trust it's there. We'll have to walk out and give it a check. I was impressed this morning shooting the first groups with this, how consistently it placed everything. Nothing shot extremely high or low compared to the others. Not even that all copper CX bullet. So nice to have that sort of consistency. All right. I think we'll let that cool for a little bit, and I will try one more group with the CX. The other thing I was pleased to see was that the CX load did not group poorly, because quite often when you shoot all copper bullets over a barrel that's been fouled by gilding metal jacketed bullets, you get poor accuracy until you clean that barrel down to bare metal. And then you can start shooting the copper and everything does just fine. So, yeah, outfitter ammo. We'll try that next. Let me take the numbers down on these. Rifle's clear. High of 3,023. Low 2,969. Same as last time. Average 3,000. A little faster average than I had this morning from that same load. 54 extreme spread. That's my widest extreme spread so far. All right, here is our lightweight. 160 grain, is it? On 160 grain all copper bullet, CX. And I'm going to put that one on the right side of the main bullseye circle, right on the edge. Hallelujah, I landed in the yellow where I could see it. That went 3,009 feet per second. A little more slowly than this morning. Averaged 30-37 this morning. Everything seems a little slower this afternoon. It's kind of odd. It's warmer. Yeah, right beside the other one. Nice little group. The steel part of the barrel back here is pretty hot. I'm shooting pretty fast with this big load, but we'll be done after this one. Looks like it's just under an inch group. Wonderful. We'll go out and measure our groups. We'll take the data down on this one, but man, thus far, I am liking this 2020. Now, I don't like this magazine. This is my personal, but when I'm hunting, I'm often carrying my rifle like this, and that magazine does not help. I also don't like the metallic rattly sound of it, but those are just choices. I would imagine you could get different magazines that fit that. I just love a flush fit magazine. It is not the style these days, but boy, I sure like it that way. Wow, this was my first group. Looks like I put 2 in that same hole. So that's the 180 grain load. And I would say that's probably a pretty good, honest 0.946. Wow, 0.946. 946. So there's your MOA group. Then I'm going to have to look at the old video we've got. Remember that we had shots in here, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Somewhere in this range would be the 160, 170 grain load. 175 grain load. It's right in here someplace. And earlier today I had another one there. I think that was also a 75. Yeah, I started off shooting here this morning. Then I went up here and down here. So that one was going to be the 175. And this is the beautiful 65. Yeah. 160 grain copper load. Coming down on, that's that 9 that I already measured, didn't it? No. That one's, yeah, that's different. So this one's a little bit better, I think. And then this one, 0.9, no, 0.895. 0.8. So with 2 of them, we went under an inch. Pretty nice stuff. Wow, let's make a great hunting rifle. All right, guys, you saw what happened. Let me run those numbers for you again. Shooting the ammunition from 2 years ago, or 2.5, whatever it was, we got a average velocity of 3,023 feet per second. So they're advertising it at 3,000 feet per second. I'd say we qualify. Now, that was with a 24-inch barrel, and this is a 24-inch barrel. It has a muzzle brake out front, making it 26 or so, but we're just right there in the wheelhouse. Now, the complaint is that the new ammo is not doing that. I got some new ammo, but when I started looking at the lot numbers, they're exactly the same as the old one. So I think I found a box of ammo that was all old stuff. Probably has the old powder. The story is that they cannot get the same powders anymore to load these because of the wars around the world and the demand on powder. And I don't know, maybe there's China's involved in the market and have some of the powder. I don't know. But at any rate, they can't get the precise powder they wanted. So your velocities might be a little lower with the new stuff. I'm going to try to find a box of new things, and we'll come back with another show and compare the old and the new on that one. But right now, when they advertised the PRC getting that velocity, initially at least, it was. Now, the new load in this box that was a little bit slower, but now the other load, well, that was from the same rifle, so we're good. Okay. I forgot to put the average down, but I got a high of 2,956, a low of 2,949. So bingo, right in the wheelhouse at about 2,952. So a little bit slower, probably 70 feet per second slower on the new ammo in this box at least. And then I shot the 175 grain load in their hunter load here, which should go a little bit faster. 3,003 was the high. 2969 was a low for an average of 2989. So it's just about the same as the 180 load, the original one. And then the 165 grain all copper bullet, 3051, 3023 for an average of 3037. A little slower than I thought. I thought they would have pushed that one up to 32. But maybe they're throttling it back a little bit because it's a copper bullet. I don't know, but that's what they're getting. So the complaints I've been seeing is like, golly, if this PRC is only giving me 2,800 feet per second, I can beat that with my 7-round mag. Well, maybe you can. And this is the chief competition, I suppose. And the 7 Rem mag looks like this. A little bit longer, but a little bit narrower in the powder column. The upshot is the fatter case for the PRC gives it almost the same powder volume as a 7, but from the data I've seen, you can get perhaps 7 to 10 grains more powder in the Remington. But the Remington's maximum average chamber pressure is 61,000. The PRC says 65,000. So you can load it, shall we say, hot. And a lot of guys will say, well, that's what I do with my 7. It is not recommended, and the factory ammunition doesn't come that way. And I knew this was going to pop up in our conversation, so I ran some numbers. I looked up a bunch of factory loads for Remington to see if it is indeed faster than the PRC, as seen by many these days, with the new powders being slower, 2,800 feet per second instead of 3,000. Federal 175 grain fusion load was advertised at 2,760 feet per second. Winchester PowerPoint 175 grain, 2,860. HSM Burger Bullet 180 grain. You don't find too many 180 grain loads in 7 Rem mag on the commercial market, but that one was driving along really nicely at 2,845. Fiocchi has a 175 grain interlock bullet at 2,850. Browning has a jacketed Spire Point 175 grain bullet at 2,860 again. Nosler 175 grain partition 2,800. Remington Core-Lock 175 grain 2,860 feet per second. And Cellier Below, however they pronounce it, 173 grain bullet, only 2,782 feet per second. So commercially anyway, if you're shooting factory loads, you are not going to get any faster than even the slow versions of the PRC. So some guys are saying, well, why should I bother to buy a PRC if it's doing the same thing as the 7 Rem mag? You don't have to. You know, it's just, I don't think that Hornady built this particular cartridge to shoot faster than the 7. As I understand it, talking to them a couple of years ago when they were coming out with this, the idea was to make a precision cartridge similar to the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.5 PRC, the 300 PRC. They're trying to and striving for precision manufacture of the chambers in their tolerances and their ammunition to match for precision shooting, accuracy. They don't just want to go faster, they want to go more accurate. So if you're concerned about accuracy, and if you want to shoot the really long, high BC bullets without having to hand load, probably the PRC is worth looking at. Given the powder volume between these two is not that much different, I would think that a hand loader could benefit from hand loading either one of those. And I don't know, I just don't worry too much about 100 feet per second faster or slower, as long as I've got a bullet that I know does the job, and I know my trajectories for my drop and drift and the tables and everything else. If you want a 28 caliber that's really going to beat both of these, you can go with an STW, you can go with a RUM, and you can go with a 28 Nosler. They're out there. The point is, we've got options. And okay, I get the complaint that Hornady is trying to blow smoke up our skirts here by saying this goes 3,000 feet per second and now it's only going 2,800. Same thing happened with the 7 Rem mag back in the day. When that thing first came out, it was really smoking, and then they backed off. As I heard the story, they were just a little concerned that a few folks were going to get in trouble with the higher pressures. Kind of surprises me, given that the SAMI standard maximum average pressure was 61,000, whereas the same case in the 300 Win Mag was good for 65,000. And most of the other belted magnums, the Weatherby, they took the same belted magnum case in the 7mm Weatherby Magnum, and that one was handling 65,000 psi. They throttled back the 7mm. So I can see where hand loaders would say, I can push this up to 65 safely, just the same case as the 300 and the same as the Weatherby, basically. So why not? That's just the way all of this stuff works, guys. But I think it's important for us just to remember or to know exactly what's going on and why. And I don't like spreading rumors about any particular cartridge. We had this happen in the 1950s with the 243 Winchester and the 6mm Remington, which at that time was called the 244 Remington, one of my favorite cartridge names. But as a result of the, oh my gosh, that Remington's 244 won't stabilize a 100-grain bullet, only a 90 grain, therefore it's no good for deer hunting. And the sales plummeted and pretty much put in the grave a really great cartridge. They renamed it to 6mm Remington and bounced back a bit, but it's essentially dead compared to the 243 Winchester. And it's such a shame because a 90 grain bullet at the velocities that 6mm Remington pushes it, which is 100 feet per second faster on average than the 243, that's a great performer for deer. So those are the kind of rumors and gossips things that I just don't like to see because they're not based so much on fact as hearsay. So that's the situation. I don't care if you guys buy a 6mm or I don't care if you guys buy a 7mm PRC or the Remington or the Weatherby or anything else. It's no skin off my nose, and I don't think it's any skin off of Hornady's nose or Remington's nose or anybody else because they pretty much all make the same ammunition. You want 7 Rem Mag instead of PRC? Hornady will be happy to sell you some. So will Remington and Winchester and all the rest of them. So it's not some kind of a conspiracy to shoot down your favorite cartridge. So I've been visiting with the Hodgson folks, make all the powders, or at least market the powders, because a lot of the powders that we use are made overseas in several different countries. I think we only have one plant here in the United States of America that makes powder, and they supply to the military. And there's the big drain. All these wars going on around the world are really putting a hurt on powder supplies. And our manufacturers don't necessarily get the quantities they need to keep the market supplied. So they've got to stay on their toes and keep hopping and try different things. It wouldn't surprise me if many of our cartridges end up shooting a little more slowly than they used to if they can no longer get the right powders for them. So be on your toes here. Things are happening, but I think this is another good reason to hand load, because as a hand loader, you can buy powder in smaller quantities. It may be available in a pound rather than in 40 pounds or 100 pounds or whatever the big manufacturers get in. So you might get some, and then you can concoct your own loads, and you're also then able to work with different powders. If your favorite one isn't available, you might have one right next door to it, and you'll be able to get the velocities where you need them. But you also have to consider the accuracy, and I think that's what Hornady is really probably paramount, because accuracy seems to be the name of the game with these PRC cartridges. Yes, they want minimized wind deflection and maximize long-range potential, but they want it to be for a target rifle. But if you're buying a PRC for a hunting rifle, no problem, man. It's doing the same thing the 7 Rem Mag does. Put the right bullet on it, you've got a great hunting cartridge as well. So that's the name of the game so far. As I said, I will try to find a different lot of the newest stuff that's out there, and then we'll compare the velocity of that to this older stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, 7 Rem Mag, 7 PRC, I'm more than happy to go hunting with either one of them, as long as the rifle shoots accurately. This is Ron Spomer. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Hunt honest and shoot straight.